How about two Super Bowl contenders making a trade? The Rams and the Chiefs. By the way, the Chiefs agreeing to send all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie to L.A. Last April, the Chiefs exercised the fifth-year option in McDuffie's contract, making his 2026 salary of $13.6 million fully guaranteed. Here are the details according to Adam Schefter. The Rams receiving McDuffie, who's just 25. The Chiefs receiving a first-round pick at number 29, a fifth, a sixth in 2026, plus a third-round pick in 2027. I mentioned McDuffie again, a do-it-all corner who's only 25 years young. 8 career forced fumbles and 15 quarterback hits are both the most among all cornerbacks since entering the league in 2022. He was a first-team All-Pro in 2023, second-team All-Pro in 2024. Lewis, let's get your take. Our resident GM also, our safety. What's your reaction to the trade?
Yeah, it's a little surprising because, look, you're not really in the business of giving away guys who are 25 years old. 25 years old that you drafted and developed, but you also know are coming in line or down the line, you're going to wind up having to pay them a huge contract because Trent was about to embark on his free agent year and become a free agent in 2027, and Brett knows that. So now you have to start thinking, how do I divvy up this salary cap pie? Is there going to be enough to go ahead and really pay this man what he's going to want on the open market? Probably not. So what are you going to do then? You're going to try and get maximum value for this young man, and they got that. They got another number one. Now, that obviously creates another void for them on the defensive side of the ball. But what Brett Veach is trying to do, he's trying to stockpile picks. He's trying to not have a drop-off in terms of performance like at this position by getting younger, but getting younger and cheaper at the same time, because that's just life in the NFL. I can guarantee you they hated to get rid of Trent McDuffie. They hated to trade him away. And now it's going to put the onus on the front office, man. You have to find somebody to take this guy's role, because Trent is a guy who could shadow, he can move inside and move outside, and he was just a hell of a competitor and team locker room guy. You saw what Patrick Mahomes' reply was on social media already. They hated to get rid of this guy. But that's just business in the NFL once again in the salary cap era.
Yeah, look, from the Rams' perspective, I love it. Like, they're taking a swing. It's sort of what they did when they won their last Super Bowl, forgetting about those picks, right? But I do like the fact that Trent McDuffie can play both inside and outside. He's an elite tackler. He gives the Rams an opportunity to play man-to-man coverage more often and take more chances. He's an excellent blitzer from the slot as well. Like I mentioned, the Rams, they had a glaring need. They went and got Roger McCreary at the trade deadline. Then you go out there and you get McDuffie. I think it's genius. The Rams are in a very small Super Bowl window with Matthew Stafford probably playing 1 or maybe 2 more years. This just signifies to me they're all in. You heard him say last week, we need to get an all-pro caliber guy. This just makes defense a lot easier. You can literally, as a quarterback, forget about throwing to the half of the field that he's on. It just makes their defense better. It makes their defensive line better. It makes their entire operation better.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of things. What was the weakest part of the Rams team last year? A team that had Super Bowl aspirations. It was their secondary. So now you go out and you get, if not the top young corner in football, one of the top 3 young corners in football. Yeah, we know you're going to have to pay him. And so what you have to do is do the exercise of, could I get the same value at pick number 29 or something close to that? And I think Les Snead and everybody in the front office said, I'm going to go get the known commodity. It seems to me that's what they do in LA. They don't worry about the picks and go for something that we think we know. They go for the for sure and what we do know. That's why Les Snead has always traded those picks, because he's going for what he already knows. He's going for an all-pro and Trent McDuffie. They turn a position of weakness into a position of strength. And then on the other side, it's clear to me, Kansas City does not value cornerbacks. Think about Marcus Peters, L'Jarius Sneed, now Trent McDuffie. They groom them, they raise them, but they're not going to pay them. So let that be a message to all the corners that have come through KC. Hey, you can go there and play and get started, but you're probably going to get paid elsewhere. So I think this worked out well for both teams because of what both teams are trying to do. One team wanted to get stronger. Another team just doesn't value the position enough to pay on top of the dollar.
That comes down to scouting and trusting what you're going to do on that rookie contract if you're going to make that pick in the first round with the quarterback. Now, we weren't the only ones shocked by the trade. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes posting his thoughts on X following the news, tweeting, "Damn, well, Short and sweet. Chase, what do you make of the
Better
reaction
score some more points, I know that.
from the 3-time Super Bowl winner, Chase? Your thoughts?
Well, you better score some more points. Exactly, Booger. That's what I thought. And look, a franchise quarterback, best in the world, in my opinion. You never like to lose great players. And when you lose great players, it makes it more difficult. But in Brett Veach, we trust. I know people in that building really well. They draft and develop younger players better than anyone, probably in the last decade. Brett Veach is a genius. I trust in him. It's always hard to lose a 25-year-old cornerback, but they followed a very similar plan to Tyreek Hill when they traded him away in 2022. They went out, they stockpiled picks, and what happened? They got back to the Super Bowl. This is a roster, you guys know, that needs to be retooled at multiple positions, specifically defensively with Spags running the defensive coordinator position. And that defense, you said it, Booger, corner for them does not matter. They play this too high shell look where it's a read technique. They can play draft picks. They can play undrafted guys. Corner is not that important to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they showed us here today that it's not.
Yeah, look, I don't know if it's not important to them. I will say this. They do have a track record, though, of being able to find younger guys, and they have great coaches. Look, between Spags and guys like David Merritt, I mean, these guys are superstars now. They have really taken some younger players that a lot of people could not have gotten the mileage out of them that they've gotten out of them. So he's going to have to invest in the position at some point. He's stockpiling draft picks. He's not going to go out and sign some big name free agent to replace Trent McDuffie, obviously. Otherwise, he would have just signed Trent McDuffie. But they will find some people to draft and develop. They're going to have to make the position a priority. I think, though, there's no question that there's going to be an emphasis on really trying to upgrade the explosive component of the offense this year. I think that's where a lot of their attention is centered on. They have to take some of the pressure off of Patrick. They have to find another wide receiver. We don't know what's going to happen at tight end, and they better get some people to help out Chris Jones. So there's a lot of needs on this team, a lot of them. And so right now he's trying to put together that diagram about what this is all going to look like. But at corner, well, that's one thing. You're right. Look, Chase, I agree with you. That's one thing that Brett would sit there and go, if there's one thing I've shown you I can do, I can find corners that David Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo can go ahead and develop. I have proven to you I can do that, and I'm going to have to do it again.
Couple of house cleaning things. This will mark the first time the Chiefs have multiple first-round picks since 2022. That was the year they drafted Trent McDuffie 22nd overall. And the Rams sent their second of 2 ones, their own 29th pick, to the Chiefs. They still have the 13th pick, which they acquired from the Falcons. Keep that in mind. Les Snead's still cooking with a first-rounder. All right, we got more news coming in on NFL Live. This is an A block, a strong one. Aaron Rodgers is on the Pat McAfee show today. The 42-year-old potential free agent was asked about his future in Pittsburgh. Listen to this.
There hasn't been any progressive conversations. You know, I love Mike, and Mike and I have kept in contact over the years. I've had conversations with Omar. I really, I think Omar, enjoyed having me there. I think the guys, had a positive response, to our time together. But again, there hasn't been any deadline set on me. There hasn't been any contract, floated, in front of me for me to well, we're giving you till, March the 8th to make a decision on this contract. There's been nothing to that respect.
All right, the Mike McCarthy era is underway in Pittsburgh, and I know Boog demanded this. He demanded me to ask him this question first. What's your initial reaction to what Rodgers just said?
I could care less, Kev. I think you know exactly how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. Like, you and I have discussed this for the longest. I think we're making much ado about a 43-year-old to be quarterback. I think it's time for Pittsburgh to move on. I get it. I understand Pat and Aaron, they're friends, they want to talk. I get all that. But if you're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a guy that they need to put on the field and find out if Will Howard can play. If not, 27 is going to be a great quarterback draft. So let's move on. I understand we're all fascinated with Aaron Rodgers, the 4-time MVP, and what he can do. But we just saw this last year. We saw a guy that does not want to get hit. We saw a guy that cannot carry a football team, but we're going to bring him back and ask him to do the same thing again. I get it. Now, some of what I'm saying is tongue-in-cheek, and we're having a little fun here. But let's just be real. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, do you honestly want to go through another season of Aaron Rodgers? He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. I get it. But it's not about what he's done. What can he do going forward? And if you're head coach Mike McCarthy, and this is your new era, Aaron Rodgers does not need to be in it. Play Will Howard, and if that doesn't work, get ready to draft a quarterback in 27.
Look, yeah, I think in theory it sounds simple. Like if you could just say, hey, look, you know what? We're just going to move on from Aaron. We're just going to throw Will Howard out there. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers, though. They don't know what they have in Will Howard. They just don't know, and they're not really in the business of kind of like throwing seasons away and just saying, hey, look, you know, we're just going to put trot Will Howard out there, and we'll just let the chips fall where they may. Look, I agree with you. I think everyone who's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan is frustrated over the fact that they have not been able to find a long-term option. They've tried some things that haven't worked out, and that's why they're constantly, every year, it seems like at the forefront of the discussion about what is Pittsburgh's long-term plan at quarterback. I think this may be another one of those years where you're looking for you're going to be looking for a bridge quarterback. Quite honestly, it's just going to be a matter of what kind of profile does he have. Is it a younger guy or is it Aaron Rodgers? Because I don't think what their options are right now outside of the draft do not lead you to the conclusion that they'll be able to find their long-term option in the veteran market. They're just not going to be able to find it, and I don't believe Will Howard is it either. That's why a guy like Ty Simpson has to be someone who's going to be talked about within that organization. Does he fit what Omar Khan said is a AFC North type quarterback? Look, that's for them to decide. But right now, look, I don't have any issue with them bringing him back, and I don't know what the 2027 draft is going to be like. We thought that last year that the 2026 draft was going to be loaded, and we see where we're sitting here now. So I don't like ever talking about that, well, it's next year that we can address quarterback. We don't know what it's going to look like then either.
Well, it just seems to me that they're just kicking the can down the road. I'm with you, Louis. I actually like the fact that he's going to be back. I just hope it doesn't last the entire offseason of drama and everything like that. Look, he got him to the playoffs. He didn't throw an interception in the last 7 regular season games, had a good touchdown to interception ratio. But this is more of a Steelers franchise problem. Since Big Ben, they have not gotten the quarterback position right whatsoever. You look at Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, multiple others, Justin Fields, and look, at least Aaron gives them a chance to be competitive. I know Steelers fans are out there probably saying like, well, we want to be competitive every year. We get to the playoffs and we lose every single year. Yeah, that's right, because Mike Tomlin, in my opinion, and that organization, they never drafted well at quarterback. They had one forever. They never fixed it. And I'm with you. Like, I don't know what the 2027 quarterback draft class is. That's why if you are drafting, you have to somehow figure out, do you like Ty Simpson? Is Ty Simpson available? 15 career starts. I'm with you completely, Louis. And Booger, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm with you. Like, it's like a drama, but also, like, to me, it's the best fit right now.
And it feels like deja vu all over again with the Steelers. You're good, but not good enough to get a quarterback that's sustainable. But at the same time, you're not bad enough to draft a quarterback early in the first round. You're in the teens or the 20s. And by the way, they picked 21 in April's draft. All right, we're just getting started on NFL Live. We're going back to the blockbuster trade of the day. The Chiefs now have 2 first-round picks. We'll tell you what they could get